Lots of people passed on, work kind of was like, what is work? You can't gig. Not that I was gigging in the first place, but I can't go teach. I used to teach private classes and I couldn't do that. So a lot of things happened, a lot of things changed. But on the bright side, I did get into more of my music production, and I've been working at Khweva Studio. So if you're looking for me, you can find me there and in their content as well. So without further ado, here are my top 20 lessons I learned in 2020. Stay tuned till the end of the video. I'm gonna share some of the lessons that I got from you guys on my WhatsApp stories and Instagram stories as well. I asked, by the way. You should follow me. Lesson 1. At the end, you go home to you. You've got your own bag, so make sure you've got your private ducks in a row. So, I feel like when we're meeting around people, we're constantly projecting the best versions of ourselves, and who knows what's happening behind the scenes. Nobody knows if you've got debt with talent. Nobody knows that, but at the end of the day, when the proverbial hits the fan, then and everybody is dealing with their own things. You can't go around pretending, having the front. So you need to clean up house. You need to clean up house. No matter how difficult that looks like, you just have to. My second lesson was know your worth. Whoa, Kwanta, this one, know your worth. I found it really interesting when I would get hired, or when someone would come look for me for work to hire me. Oops, I probably touched the mic, sorry. And they wanted me specifically, but they're not gonna pay me what I know I am worth and the value that I'm gonna provide for them. I was hanging out with someone from my band, and she said that Kenyans are gonna pay you enough just so you can come back. And it's like, yeah, that's so true. And if you just charge something that's really low because you don't know your worth and you're trying to be kind to somebody else, they will keep taking from you, and the real opportunities for growth are gonna go to somebody else. Yeah. So yeah, expect my bill to go up. Hey, my charges to go up. So that leads me to my next point. Think twice before committing to an organization or making a deal. So pace yourself, don't be in a hurry. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so think, pace yourself, yes, so that you're not surprised. You might, hurry up and make the right decision, but in the process of getting to join the community, you might end up making a few mistakes that are going to surprise you, but that would have been avoided if you had not, rushed into it in the first place. Make your mental health a priority. I think that's number 4. And, 2020, yeah, because if you're not constantly fighting to stay healthy, then I guess goodbye sunshine, hello depression, right? What works for somebody else may not work for you. Yeah, so somebody else does not need sleep for 8 hours a day and you think you can handle it? No, you just do you. I found myself meeting a lot of musicians and a lot of creatives who have different working, routines and schedules and yada yada yada. And I'm like, you guys stay up for 3 days working. I'm gonna guilt trip myself and be like, you guys are working so hard and I sleep 8 hours, I'm still my mom's kid because, I need to get my beauty rest. I'm so spoiled and soft and then I did try. I didn't try, but I couldn't sleep for a while, and I had a session and that was kind of a pain. And we were doing pop songs. So how do you do a dance song and you haven't slept for 3 days? You don't. That's what happens. So what works for you may not work for somebody else, and what works for somebody else may not work for you. That leads me to my next point. You are not for everybody and everybody is not for you. Okay, so this is a personal story. In 2020, before the proverbial shit hit the fan, I set out to start going out. I'm like a loner type person. I'm a musician, Jesus help me. But yeah, and I set out to hang out with people, to meet new people. And I was like, hey, new person. Hello, new other person. Hello, you. I was really excited. And then I found myself having to like shift from a sort of like, I'm used to being alone awareness to now I'm with people and now there's a language around people. It was just difficult, and it was kind of hard to, you know, to have good intentions and to learn how to listen and hear no and accept it and not internalize it and be like, okay, cool, love you all the same, see you in Jerusalem or something, right? So it was a very good lesson to learn, because then I also learned that I belong to myself. Yeah, because when I realized that, you know, you're not for everybody, find value in yourself. Like, okay, so wacha mimi nijipeleke huku kwa self-care and manicures and pedicures and protect my energy. That's where your boundaries come in and save your life. So my next lesson was suffer fools, because you are one. I don't know why I heard this. I heard this somewhere on the internet and it just was like, yes! You know, sometimes when you're like a perfectionist, what being a perfectionist really is you criticizing yourself. Like, that's it. And then you're just, it needs to be perfect, it needs to be perfect, it needs to be perfect. And you're trying to cut off other people's growth as well and their mistakes. So when you suffer fools, you suffer yourself, you learn to be patient, you learn to be more compassionate with yourself. It's a process that requires space for vulnerability and, you know, just listening to yourself. The next lesson was that you need to save like you're Superman. Save. Whoa. I don't know. I think that was kind of self-explanatory. 2020, yeah. Like, balance your expenses. It's weird sometimes when because I find it tricky navigating expenses as a musician, personal story, because it's like, if I were not a musician and I was just going to look for a job, I would be going to look for a job for like my needs. But as a musician, I need to look for jobs for my needs, but also for the expenses that I will incur during the production of my work, right? So for my band members, I need to give them a small amount of money just to say thank you or something, or pay them if I do run into the funds to pay them. Not just talking about that, but also expenses for music videos and yada yada yada. If your stroke is not right, if you don't know how to blend right, you still need to hire a makeup artist, etc, 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 etc. So save like your life depends on it, because it does. Yeah. Oh, and this one was my favorite. Know your weaknesses and learn the skills to like battle them or whatever. You make a fool out of yourself if you don't know what you don't know and you're just spouting your opinion everywhere, right? Okay, so the next one is set yourself up for success. Just because things aren't happening doesn't mean you should stop trying. So my next lesson is you can hold two realities in your mind and still kind of make the best decision for yourself. So what this means is, for me, what it meant, in 2020, I transitioned into like natural hair kind of thing, and it was working out until it wasn't. That stuff is expensive, guys. Team Natural is not a team, it's a solo effort. Yeah, and it's like, I had to make the decision that made me feel good and made sense for who I am and where I was at that time. My other lesson is being responsible about your own choices will keep you empowered. Even when you make mistakes, at least you can own up to that mistake and say, okay, I made this decision and now it's not working out anymore, so I can change that. Instead of not making any decisions at all and being apathetic, you kind of lose your power that way. Okay, feed your body with the right nutrients. I was super healthy all of a sudden right after, because you know when we were trying to avoid the whole COVID-19 thing, the flu Oh my God, it's not the whole COVID-19 flu, it's a pandemic. Forgive me, guys. I didn't mean to take it lightly. But yeah, I got like tea herbs and green leaves and vitamin C and zinc and all of that, and my mind just went from like 0 to 100 real quick. Like Monday blues was a thing of the past. So take care of your body, and I think your body will take care of your mind. I also started like taking walks and just really looking at the things that are happening around me, in like the trees, the birds, the animals, yada yada yada, and it was really, really helpful to my mental health. I've been going through this list. I think the next one that I want to talk about is that life is seasonal. I think right now we're in the first or second week of January, and it still feels like December 45th or something, right? Because the season hasn't really changed, at least, you know, in my life. For some people, maybe it has changed. Maybe for you, it also hasn't. So I guess maybe, you know, I could prepare accordingly for seasons. It's hard to like forecast the seasons, but at least for now, that's what I'm going on. It's just this one right here, number 8. What works for someone else may not work for you. And then my inner critic went like, oh yeah, like vlogging, huh? Yeah, I don't know, man. Okay, so the next lesson I learned is, you know, allow yourself your feelings. Sometimes, you know, I would fail, and then I'd feel ashamed, and then I'd be like, no. You're it, you know, kujichocha, lying to myself about my feelings. And you don't help yourself to grow and to become like your higher self if you constantly, you know, lying to yourself about what you feel, because your feelings just tell you what needs to be worked on. And if you can't feel your feelings, then you have issues with vulnerability, you know. So that leads me to my next point. Go to counseling or read widely about the things troubling you. Is it you need to figure out whether you know, if you need better coping mechanisms, read about it. You want to learn more about meditation and yada yada yada, read about it. I read all the time. I have like 15 half-open books, and it's kind of, yeah, frustrating, but and confusing. But comparing where I was before the books to where I am now, like mentally, yay, read. My next lesson that I learned was choosing what's best for you it's not always going to be the ideal thing. It will most often be a compromise, because the reality you have in your head isn't the reality that's on the ground, to be honest. So yeah, you just compromise and compromise and compromise and compromise as you go until you get to where, or close to where you want to go. Yeah. Control the controllables. And let the world worry about itself. Yeah, that one I'm just going to leave it like that. So for the next part of the video, I want to read the messages that I got when I asked what lessons you've learned from 2020. And when I was reading these, I was like, yo, guys, so I wasn't alone, like fighting my 2020 pandemic issues. Yeah, because a lot of the lessons that I got were almost the same as what I got, as what I learned. So I'm going to start with, you can make yourself a doormat for someone and they will still complain that you aren't flat enough. Sometimes it's okay to just survive. You can't pour from an empty cup. As long as you're applying yourself, the results will show. And that's true. I think there's a line in a J. Cole song about something, that careers, you just need to keep working and the fruits will reveal themselves. It's okay to need help, love, care, even though you're used to being the helper, lover, carer. Yeah, accepting love can be kind of scary. A store-bought serotonin is fine, and teamwork makes the dream work. That's my favorite. Yo, if 2020 taught me anything, is that I probably wouldn't have made it to the end without people in my life, without all the people in my life. Never assume you're important to someone, and don't force things. Yeah, that's a tough lesson to learn, but also you are worthy of love. And maybe it's not, just because it's not there doesn't mean it's not somewhere else, right? God is a provider and he's always in control. This one was really hard and scary. Like, you guys, are you seeing the messages that I got? Like, it was a really, really hard year then. The best move is moving on swiftly as soon as possible and stop holding on to things. So he gave me an example. For example, I lost my job, but I was still holding on instead of finding other ways to hustle in the name of wametupea 3 months unpaid leave, then back to normal. That's so true. Because let's say 3 months leave, but in actual sense, job ilikuwa imeisha. Yeah, you just keep it moving. Then nikalan about discipline with money, and I stopped flaunting online. I used to do that until I was on the other side of the screen and guys are out spending and documenting and I have nothing hata kununua data bundle. So I don't think I will ever want to show people how much money I have, how I am spending in different I don't know how to say this word. Locals. I would just like to share the happiness in a photo and not give people perception. Yeah, you can only have fun if you have money, and I have it, so that's why, And for this one, I'm like, yeah, after like 2020 and all those like real life lessons that you can only learn after, with time, like how to show your friends grace, how to be resilient. Those are lessons you just learn with time and pain. And the problem with social media is that like there's an affirmation that's going on around and it's like, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm gonna get that bag. And it's like, okay, but that's not the end all of happiness, right? And besides, because now we end up, if the point of happiness is money, then I might end up doing anything to get the money, especially if I'm in a place that really promotes corruption or whatever, right? So yeah, I found out that you could live so well with little. I was wasting myself. My financial discipline has improved and I try to save once in a while, but I wouldn't want to live like I did. Yoni, 2020 was ding dong, it's time to grow up completely. I really appreciate you guys responding to that question about the lessons that you learned, because I learned something from the lessons that you sent me, that that we're not alone. Also, in 2020, I started meeting people, like meeting drivers in matatus. Obviously, I would meet drivers in matatus. Well, would you meet a driver in matatu? Yeah. So I when I get into a matatu and we talk with a driver, with a conductor or something, mamboga, when you talk with people that you don't work with or don't go to school with, and they just tell you real stuff, because now you're strangers, you're never gonna meet each other. And you realize that the only thing we have is each other, right? So go to mamboga and buy mboga from her. Don't, respect the conductor in as far as they respect you as well. Be kind to one another. Nairobi is cruel and cruel and cruel and cruel. It is. So the only thing that we do have is, or maybe not the only thing, but we should value that we have each other, right? So that's it. Before this video gets really depressing, guys, as you can see, I'm not 2020 magnifico food show, 20 life, I guess. So we just hope for the best. If this video has touched you or you want to talk about the lessons that you've learned, please leave a comment below and subscribe and hit a bell. And by the way, also, thank you for listening to my music that came out last year, Lonely Night with Thumbs and Come Through with Mshari Spikes. I also want to say thank you to Thumbs Music. Thumbs, his Instagram account is Thumbs Music, and Mshari Spikes, aka Mwana wa Wambui, on Instagram, for working with me during that weird time, and your faithfulness and consistency and commitment despite everything. I really appreciate it. And thank you for Calvin. He's right there. He's shooting this video. Finally shooting the video, Calvin. And Khweva, for allowing me this awesome vibe. Yeah. So I'll see you next time. I don't know if there's gonna be a next time. This video was hard enough as it was, to be honest. There might be a next time, but there will definitely be new content. So asante sana, subscribe. See you next time.